Hello and welcome to Gamers Ledge Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Mark, and joining me today is, of course, everybody who plays in the Tuesday night game Rise of the Mutants, and I will immediately give it over to Daniel.
Howdy, folks. Welcome. Once again, this is a live play podcast, now playing every other Tuesday, where we play Mutants and Masterminds. In the MCU after Thanos' infamous snap. This takes place a couple years later, with the repercussions of that, with that still being in effect, as if Avengers Endgame did not occur, as far as we know. I don't know. We don't know yet. We'll find out soon. We have a handful of players today, so why don't we go ahead and have everyone talk about really fast, just who you are, who you're playing, and then if we can end with Mark with a short synopsis taking us to where we are now. So let's go ahead and start with Anthony.
I'm sorry, I'm still getting super lag spikes. What's going on right now?
If you ever needed documentation that Anthony was drunk, it was right there. What's going on? Super lag spikes. Let's come back to Anthony.
Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
Alright, I'll be playing Aeon. Do you want me to describe what I look like and all that stuff again, or just go with that?
Just real fast, yeah, like 2 sentences.
Alright, like my powers?
Sure.
Alright, I have the power to heal as well as hurt. I can like transfer like life energy, and doing that makes me more powerful.
So you have the power of life and death and can absorb some into yourself to make yourself more powerful.
Copy that.
Okay, go ahead, Ray.
Alright, I'll be playing Cadus, a Gambit knockoff, same powers, different attitude, and of course, a much different accent.
Alright, Anthony.
Alright, well, let's see if this works. Let me know if I go super robotic again.
You're going kind of robotic.
It's not working, man. You better just stop.
No, you're fine, go!
They're messing with you. Go, you're fine.
Alright, well, I'll call it a night. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Let's see, so I'm playing the character Puck as a mutant. He's 6 inches tall with dragonfly wings, has the ability to cast fairy magic to include hallucinations and telekinesis. Or illusions and telekinesis.
Awesome. And for the record, the players that just spoke, they are all playing mutants. After the snapping that got rid of half of the life in the universe, mutants started popping up over the planet. Mutants as we know them from the comic books and from the Fox movies, but have not yet been shown in the Marvel movies. That's important because... Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, and if they're all mutants and I'm not, that makes me a mastermind, right? Okay. Yeah, I'm playing Silver Surfer. He is a cosmic entity that has traveled the spaceways to come and warn the planet of a Skrull invasion, but he's not doing so well because since getting to Earth, he's very, very weak compared to his normal self. But he's working on assisting the mutants prepare for this invasion. And so, for those that did not tune in last week, basically, after Silver Surfer crash landed at the base of the X-Men, Charles Xavier put together a team of X-Men to go to Wakanda to meet with the current Black Panther, which is Shuri, and also Victor Von Doom, who is the king of Latveria, which has expanded its landmass quite significantly since the snapping. While we were there, we were attacked by Inhumans, and the difference, or the interesting thing that we learned at the end of these sessions, was that it seemed like these were actually not just standard run-of-the-mill Inhumans, but Inhuman mutant hybrids, which has never been seen before. And
Wait, say that again?
Yeah.
So what's an Inhuman mutant hybrid? How does that work?
Right. So normally, if you exposed a mutant to Terrigen Mist, they would just die. And this seems to be a case of mutants exposed to Terrigen Mist, unless I am overreading into that, Daniel. Nope. Okay.
You are exactly right on. It's as if a mutant was exposed to Terrigen Mist and did not die.
And got more powers or different powers from it.
Enhanced.
Yeah.
Well, thinking logically, having no knowledge of the comics whatsoever, I don't see why somebody can't have both a mutant gene and an Inhuman.
Because historically, when you expose a mutant to Terrigen Mist, they die.
So, I guess the point Anthony's making is, do they though?
Yeah, pretty much. Almost
well,
always.
because the MCU up until now has not had mutants. And they've had Inhumans because of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So Anthony is... Because your characters don't know that. I think that's the point Anthony's making.
Yes, that's exactly the point that I was making. It wasn't.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and drop you guys right in. Oh, look, Aeon's there. He was there the whole time.
He's so...
Do you have any questions to catch you up, Nick?
All of them.
Okay,
So the last thing that I was here for is we were shopping in Wakanda,
right?
And now we're here. So I need a little bit of catch up.
So you went from the marketplace back to your rooms, and the next morning you had been asked to give a briefing to Shuri. When you arrived at the council chamber, which is the map that you see, it is a raised platform like the UN, with desks and chairs. All of the little circles that say UNWO body, pretend they're not there. You guys showed up, and Shuri was there with Victor Von Doom, because she was told by Xavier, hey, do whatever experiments you need to, talk to the Silver Surfer, because he has knowledge on a threat that's coming. And she felt that Victor also needed that information. So you guys, they did the... I'm trying to think of the best way to put it, but like telepathic mind meld.
Yeah. With
the Silver Surfer, to get memories of what was happening. They scanned him with a scanner from the center of this tribal carpet, and he gave her a bit of himself to do for further testing. And then they were attacked. Thugs dropped in from the ceiling, and Medusa from the Inhumans showed up. They combated. Medusa, realizing that she was outmatched, called for a huge Inhuman bulldog that popped in. She grabbed it and popped out, so she teleported away. By the way, Surfer, you sensed her disappearance from here and arrival somewhere in the area of the moon.
Got it. Also, I have a question.
One second.
Okay.
After you grouped together to make sure everybody was okay, because Zoom got a fairly heavy hit, stabbed by Medusa, because she was yelling that it was his fault that her family was gone. It was Victor's fault that her family was gone. She wounded him, so everybody checked on him, and I believe the Surfer healed him.
I did.
And then you went looking for the thugs, because you had taken out many of them, and there was one thug left. And now that it was after all of the action, you realized that all of the thugs were the same guy, who is now the unconscious person standing between two Wakandan guards.
So he's like Multiply Man?
Well, you guys can do a check on that, but possibly. So I think that catches us up to where we were now. You had a question mark.
Yeah, did Medusa run away so she wouldn't be canceled?
Good luck to that.
Sorry.
Now she's a coroner, so it happens.
Yeah.
Oh, and BT dubbed Victor Von Doom is the new Iron Man, apparently.
Oh yeah, that's
So he when the combat started, he had points of blue light that started to glow through parts of his clothing, and armor flew in and built around onto those spots. The only time that you guys have seen armor kind of like that was the more recent clips of Tony Stark / Iron Man before Iron Man went and essentially was destroyed by Thanos, as far as you guys know. Did you have any questions?
Nope. I'm good.
Alright, you see the Wakandan guards holding a small, like, scanning device over the unconscious thug, and the other one is attaching some kind of glowing manacles to his legs and hands.
Will
And
those manacles contain his abilities? I asked Shuri.
As well as we can guess. The problem is with a lot of the mutants that have been coming forward, not all of them follow the same principles and break the same laws of physics. Also, you scanned him
Yes,
and
I
broke the plot device.
Yes, so do I need to spend a hero point or something on that?
Yeah.
So how do I denote that? Oh, I just know that I have 0 hero points now instead of 1. Okay.
Yes.
And then I will say that I used that this session, so I can't use another hero point that way for the rest of the session, right?
Right.
Okay.
Unless Dan gives you one to spend.
Unless I give you one to spend.
So, no, you're not going to get one the rest of the session.
Right, I got it. Thanks, Anthony.
So, when you realized that, did you say anything?
Yes, I would say that. I would say to Shuri, I think you have a bigger problem on your hands currently. This mutant is also an Inhuman.
She'll stand there kind of with her mouth dropped open. The Inhuman, just so you guys know, the Inhuman transference that happened in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was kept pretty quiet for the most part. The fact that there were some enhanced humans out there was still pretty on the down low, but the majority of Americans didn't know it. And when videos popped up on the internet, most people dismissed it until the really big superhero stuff started, and then they figured it was just fans making that stuff, not actual people with actual abilities, for the most part.
I think they were just mutants.
Because there were never mutants until after Thanos' snap.
And I would know that mutants generally don't survive the Terrigen Mist process, wouldn't I? No? Okay.
Because until 4 years ago, Earth didn't have Earth had some mutants, maybe like less than 50, probably less than 20, but it wasn't until like 4 years ago that the population really boomed. So there would be no...
Wouldn't that
other
be a
than the
universal
fact,
constant? Just out of curiosity.
mutants?
Yeah.
Well, because I thought there'd be at least a couple thousand. Like 6 billion people.
I mean, Apocalypse was sleeping underground for millennia.
Well, right, and I'm counting him. I'm counting a few people that were at certain points in the evolutionary chain before the rest of everybody else.
Sorry, I know I'm asking the tough questions, but again, yeah.
I
Play it however you want. I don't care.
I would say no, because
Okay.
Inhumans are a specific grouping
Okay.
that are kind of native to here.
So then I would rephrase that and say this mutant has been exposed to Terrigen mists.
Well, we know what Terrigen Mist is.
You would. But Shuri would. Probably.
Sure, maybe.
Sure, why not?
Huh.
Are you sure?
You guys may have been briefed because you're not normies. You guys would have probably been briefed on Inhumans.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what? At this point, you guys probably would know because Terrigen Mists were
They wiped out a
pretty big thing. Yeah, you would know, and you would know that the mists kill mutants. You would know that.
And the fish oil contamination of the world had happened, creating a bunch of Inhumans.
And killing a bunch of... Yeah, that makes sense.
Killing a bunch of normal people. So, yeah.
So you would know that. Yeah, she is shocked. And says, well, then we really can't know what he's capable of.
It's almost as if he multiplied to fight us.
If he multiplied to fight you?
Yeah, created carbon copies of himself.
Yes, that's what it looks like.
We should call him Xerox. Oh, well, I don't know that. I don't know that brand. Never mind. I can't say that.
With the scans being done, you're informed that his name is Jamie Madrox. He is a con artist and thief that did some time in an American prison before disappearing on D18. It was assumed that he disappeared with everyone else.
I would ask that you share the results of your scans with Xavier. He will be most interested in this data.
That's very true.
Not to mention, this seems like this person would be very useful for his cause. Imagine being able to have 1,000 people in the same place, or multiple places.
If his record is anything to be believed, he may not work well with others. And the Wakandan guards will frog rock carry him off.
Do they drop him? Please tell me they drop him.
Drop him?
Yeah, do they accidentally drop him?
No.
Damn.
They accidentally curb stop him. What?
Well,
That's
they don't
fine.
accidentally drop it.
Either one. Any of the above. Does any of the above happen?
No.
Damn it.
Why?
You should have just said, as they drop him, I do this.
Yeah, I wanted to see him multiply, but, if they didn't drop him, I can't inflict my OOC knowledge in character stuff. But if they drop him, then I can know.
Alright. She thanks you all very much for your help, and says that she's gonna have to get the drones on repairing the ceiling right away, especially since there's going to be meetings in here in just a couple hours. She says she wanted to warn you, specifically the three of you that are not super powerful aliens, that did I say Congressman Kelly? Senator Kelly?
Senator?
It was, I think he was congressman in this one.
I think he was congressman. That Congressman Kelly actually scheduled a fairly large summit lecture.
Senator Lee Kelly.
Senator Lee Kelly. One of the larger lectures about the upcoming push for the legislation, specifically the Mutant Registration Act, to be added to the Sokovia Accords, and what that would mean for the world. And that she anticipates a lot of the anti-mutant attendees to be here en masse.
Do you want us on hand, or should we not be seen in order to keep tensions low?
I don't know if your attendance would... I'm afraid it would light more fires than it would put out, but we might need your backing. We might need your help.
Well, I have a good compromise.
Yeah.
I'm going to cast a quick Fey illusion, and suddenly we are all invisible. So we can be there without being there.
It's a Fey illusion?
Yes.
She will kind of chuckle to herself and look around, and then she'll put her finger up and pull down a set of goggles and look around and point at you, Puck, but she can't see any of the others.
So it's not a total fail.
It's not a fail.
You've been waiting 2 weeks to say that, haven't you?
No.
He writes them down as he thinks of them in the bathroom.
What do you think these notes are for?
Alright, she tells you that one will be right after lunch today. And if you guys need to go and take a rest, or if you wanted to do any research or anything, that would be a good time to do it.
Question.
Yes.
Tiring. What does that do, Anthony?
Oh, I didn't have my notes up. Let me grab it real quick.
I think it makes you fatigued.
And when do you
and
not
then
become
exhausted.
fatigued?
Which one was the tiring again?
Which
one of your powers?
Transform. Because I can fix the ceiling real quick, but...
I'm fatigued.
It's 1 hour of rest.
Oh, good. So if I do that, then I can rest for an hour and I'll be back to normal, since the thing's in 2 hours. So yeah, I'll spend the next hour, if I need to spend that long, repairing the ceiling.
Okay.
In conjunction with the bots, so that you can't tell anything happened. And then I'll rest for an hour, or meditate for an hour, and be back to good. So that's going to be what I'm going to be working on, since she, it's apparently important. I will do that.
And I'll spend some time using my Fey telekinesis spells to resort, clean up the room, make it look kosher again, and help clean up the roof. Little brooms start coming in and sweeping away the glass shards. Carrying buckets of water for some reason.
Nice. Awesome.
Meanwhile, Cadus is going to go find a bar and a card shop, because there is absolutely nothing that his talents can be useful
You can blow away the
in
dust.
this environment. And bring the roof down again.
But
Oh, you're the reason why the roof came down?
Yeah.
But it could have just as easily been.
I'm writing in my notes here. Cadus brings the house down. Got it.
The roof is on fire?
Let it burn?
Yeah, pretty much. And then after purchasing his cards and having a drink, he will return to the forum.
I can't tell if Dan's talking to us or not us.
Not us.
Yeah.
I have a daughter who has a math test tomorrow that she hasn't started studying for because she's doing a different homework, except she's screwing around.
Oh, high school.
Parenthood.
Nikki, is your character doing anything?
Okay.
Not really. I don't know what there is to do.
Wow.
What?
I know, right?
Emo Aeon.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, you could
Go
probably
do shots
attend
with
to
Cadus.
Victor.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't. I wouldn't feel right to do shots at this time of day.
At 9 a.m.?
Yeah.
You know, since you
I'm
are
not alcoholic.
the medic, you might actually treat the wounded. I'm just saying.
Oh, there's other wounded.
Well, yeah, I healed Victor a decent amount, but I'm not a medic.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll go and help Victor heal
Okay.
by killing the elderly.
You're gonna kill his injuries.
No, he said kill the elderly. Because he has to drain them so that he can heal others.
You should
It's a
just
circle
drain Silver Surfer, and then Silver Surfer can heal himself.
That's true. You can do that.
Oh, good to know.
Or Silver Surfer should transform himself into not a D-bag.
What
I
did
don't
I
think that's
do?
power.
What did I do? I'm the one that's like, go help the people that... Wow, I'm the D-bag. All right.
It's not you. It's not Silver Surfer. It's the player that's controlling him.
I'm just going back to repairing the roof.
You're doing good. Within no time, you guys repair the facility and get it looking spick and span again, because obviously combat going back and forth and those weird energy guns being shot through the room damaged a lot. So you're able to kind of piece it together and clean it up, and she's very appreciative. At about 10:30, she takes her leave, and she and Victor take their leave, people start filtering in around 11 for the lecture that's going to start at 12.
I will create the illusionary shell form of myself that looks like a normal person, and just fly around inside my shell just to not draw attention.
You create a fishbowl that you're flying around in?
Yeah, a people fishbowl. That's opaque.
Yes.
Okay.
People fishbowl?
And you turn us all invisible again? Is that the deal?
Well, I can only do one illusion at a time, so y'all are back, but I look like a normal person now.
Well, that's not good. Or what we discussed at all.
I know, right?
Oh, you guys were serious? Okay.
Yes! She said she didn't want to.
Alright, so Puck is gonna sneeze, and when he sneezes, everybody goes invisible.
Senator Kelly walks in, and his mouth drops up, and he goes, "Ah!" No,
I'm gonna look at myself and look behind me, like, what's he talking about?
You sneeze, and you
But okay,
all
for
turn
reals
invisible.
though, we'll be invisible.
Yeah. The groups filter in. You can see a fairly large body of well-dressed, registered individuals that are wearing proper name bags and security badges, and then a handful, probably 30 or 40, of people dressed far more outlandishly, including...
Wait, bring those back. Whoever just moved them away. Because we should actually set up where we are. I mean, I figure we're going to have to be, like, move out of the way when people are walking up or down, but I'm assuming that based on this drawing, everybody who's important is going to come in and be on the stage. They're not going to come down from the outer seats, are they? To talk? Everybody who's going to be talking is
so everyone's going to be talking. So these little half circles at the back are all...
Right. So
yeah,
everybody who's going to be talking is going to be seated on the actual stage.
Yes.
And okay, so then yeah, I'd probably stand about
So if I found like Senator Kelly and like just ever so slowly start draining his life force, is that bad?
Yes, because we don't know if they have mutant detecting devices yet, which they probably do. But
Well, we'll find out in a moment.
mm-hmm.
I spend a hero point.
I really want to use Peter Dinklage, but he's already a Marvel character.
He's two of them, isn't he?
No, he's a Fox and a Marvel.
Yeah, true.
He was Kelly in
Is that the
Fox.
same thing now?
Not quite.
Not quite.
Not until
Okay.
they redo X-Men again.
Yes.
Again? How many times are they going to redo that?
Well, this will be the first time that Marvel redoes it.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Which, they never really got a proper origin story anyway, so I'd be totally fine with it. Take us
Like Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
That's the one I'm waiting for.
60s period
Hey.
piece.
The 1980s Fantastic Four was amazing.
For the
90s?
time.
I think you're using that word incorrectly.
Mm-hmm. 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 Is that where you guys are?
And he's going to set up and with the rest of the audience, kind of work his way in there.
It just occurred to me I didn't draw a non-Black Panther Shuri.
That's fine. We know who she is.
For shame, Daniel. For shame. Aeon, are you standing in the middle of the floor?
I guess I'll make it nice and even spread out.
Oh god, there's a guard next to me.
I would have tested this beforehand. Can I be on my board and still be invisible? Because if so, I will just kind of like sit on my board up above, in where I am physically, but up so that people can walk underneath me and there's no hassle or anything. If I can use my board and still be invisible.
Would there be any problem with that, Anthony?
Double checking, double checking. So you have to be within 1,000 cubic feet of me. And then you're good to go.
So we're good.
1,000 cubic feet?
Yes.
How many cubits is that? Vupa.
So I guess that's a 10 foot by 10 foot cube. If my
So
math
you-
is right.
1,000.
You guys actually have to be really close to each other.
You said 1,000.
1,000 cubic feet. 10 times 10 times 10.
So where are you then? Oh, you're here? So I'll be 10 foot up from them.
So, Cadus, if you want to be invisible, you have to come stand within 10 feet of me.
The crowd still. And just kind of
Yeah,
start
so
talking
you're,
smack about these.
You can
We gotta do
probably
something about
blend
these
in.
two immediate. Yeah, we gotta do something. We need to do something about these mutant problems, man. They're horrible.
do you
I
have
looked
red
at him.
eyes?
I looked at the delegate next to me. What do you think, man?
Do you have red eyes?
Hell no. Got blue
You
eyes.
say hell no, but
You got plenty of sleep last night.
Gambit does have red eyes, which is why I was asking.
Cadus doesn't. Gambit might.
Remember, we got Cadus at the $2.50 store. So
Oh, right.
I'm just kidding.
You get a lot for that extra 50 cents.
Like an Aeon.
Oh, bad Cajun accent.
He doesn't have a Cajun accent.
No, that's what I'm saying. You pay a little bit extra for the accent. Alright, so as you see things spread out, you see that, like I said, a good majority of them have the security badges showing and they're dressed professionally. Some in the cultural trappings of their culture, but there is still a fairly large grouping that are dressed how you would expect a flamboyant villain to dress. various warlords, and you see a man come in, and he's dressed in a black turtleneck that's made of some kind of fur with a large maned vest on that looks like it was made out of a very large lion leather or lion hide.
Does my stomach rumble? I was just curious if I was having a craving.
Behind him, you see two individuals. One with what looks like a green wrestler's mask pulled over his face. And the other very, very large. He's wearing a suit of dark gray, but it's a giant suit to cover his massive form. If he's not a mutant, then you're not sure why he's that size.
The Juggernaut?
Perhaps, but you don't know who the No, not the Juggernaut, because you know who the Juggernaut is. Good question.
The thing?
But
the Blob?
Not that. Well, I don't know. That's a good question. Does he look blobby like the Blob, or does it look more like something you?
Here, I'll make this easy. Do we recognize him?
You don't recognize him.
Okay.
He is the shape and rough size of the Juggernaut, but it's not the Juggernaut.
Yeah.
You know. What's Juggernaut's name, Mark?
Cain Marko.
Cain Marko. You know it's not Cain Marko. And you know who Cain Marko is because of his attachment to Xavier.
Okay.
So, since we're supposed to kind of blend into the woodwork, I guess we will just sit here and watch everybody file in and see what happens. And
the guards, the Wakandan guards, you see them station themselves at the exits, and two on the floor to each side of the stage. One to each side of the stage, and then after the seats pretty much fill in, you see a grouping of people walk down the stairs. Where are you? Sorry. Stupid hiccups. I wish it was in alphabetical order, but it doesn't do that.
You can make it do that. Just right-click and sort alphabetically.
What's up with you and your logic?
Nope. For my tokens, it doesn't work.
As long as your tokens are named correctly.
No. I have rename item, delete item, copy to the library, move to copy the folder.
Oh, I put them in folders, and then once they're in a folder, you can sort them.
I have over 300.
That makes things difficult.
Yeah. Most of mine are in folders. Okay. Boop. There is Senator Kelly. And Shuri.
That guy looks vaguely familiar.
And Victor.
And now I'm fully powered. He's feeling a little tired.
Yeah.
He's getting used to the wand and flu.
And there's one more here. Okay. You guys are standing in the. Oh no, you're above. They move. We'll say they go down this way. They. Turn you up a little bit more. They walk down the center steps. And you can see that the majority of people stand up as they enter and walk down to the stage. Shuri will take the stage. You see that she's dressed very regally in the cultural attire of the Queen of Wakanda. Printed panther bones along her jawbone. And she said she welcomes everyone for coming and thanks them for arriving, and says that while many of the topics that they're going to be talking about are there to benefit the majority of society of the world, like resources and technologies to be shared among cultures, there are a couple, like this first lecture, that are more heated topics of conversation, based on on what people believe to be the safety of the world. And then she introduces Senator Kelly, Victor Von Doom, and she says their full name and then like their title. Senator Kelly, Victor Von Doom, oh my gosh, why is my brain frozen? Reed Richards and Osmond Price, in that order. Reed Richards, she introduces him as a lead scientist at CERN.
I have a question.
Son of a gun. Naomi's off at PTA, so I'm trying to balance everything. Your question, Mark.
I'm assuming the whole Ultimate Nullifier thing with Galactus and the Fantastic Four has not happened, or has it?
So the Fantastic Four are not a thing.
Okay, so then I wouldn't know Reed Richards.
He's just Reed Richards.
Yep.
Person. Yep, got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Reed Richards, lead scientist at CERN, and I just said his name. Osmond Price, I think is what I said his name was.
It is.
Okay. And Osmond Price, I'm gonna name them, who is a come on, brain, a Brazilian president who is trying to institute legislation very similar to the Mutant Registration Act, but in Brazil.
I'm sorry, what was the legislation he was trying to introduce?
It's very similar to the Mutant Registration Act.
Okay.
So Sokovia Accords work with
No, I'm good.
Yep.
All right. Does it look like?
As the members,
Go ahead. Right.
as each of them are being introduced, I'm gauging all the participants in my little surroundings, trying to see where their allegiances lie, what their take on the issues are, where they stand. To kind of get a feel for the environment, if you will.
Out of every three, right around you, it looks like one is not super interested in the Mutant Registration Act. It looks like 2 out of 3 are very interested to hear what Price and
Kelly.
Thank you, son of a gun. Senator Lee Kelly.
I'll kind of stroke that ego with each member respectively to kind of get more information from them.
Like, what specifically are you asking?
No, just overall, like where they stand, how they feel about mutants in general, just to kind of gauge the threat environment.
They well, it really depends on how you ask, on what they're going to share. But it sounds like, for the majority of the people that you're seeing around you that are in favor of the Mutant Registration Act, come from countries where the rules are fairly lax. Does anyone else hear an echo?
I do.
Okay. And they would like to see some kind of rules made for people with enhanced powers. Or powers, period.
Yeah, so that's kind of all I'm trying to gauge. Just where they stood. Mark, I believe you have something going on.
No, I was actually just gonna keep an eye kind of on Cadus to see, you know, he's the one working the crowd, just to see what reactions are and watching these people.
Whereas I'm going to be paying special attention to the 3 known mutants, the super big mutant, obviously mutant guy, the lion-hided guy, and his buddy, whom I forget who he was.
Likewise.
One second, I'm putting stuff together real quick.
That's intimidating.
He's building it up so we can tear it back down. Oh.
Rhino.
Is that the one in the wrestler's mask?
Nope.
Xenomorph?
That's the one in the wrestler's mask.
Can you blow that up to the size of Rhino so I can see it?
He's not the size of Rhino.
Well, I know. I just want to. Yeah, I can't see. Oh, okay.
So, Dan, if you click on one of them and then Shift Z, it'll blow it up on all of our screen.
Yeah, he.
Shift Z.
Oh.
Oh.
And we can all just click once to remove it from your individual screen.
Nice.
What does the other dude look like? Does the other smaller guy look like?
He looks like a very hairy guy. Yeah, it didn't zoom it. It didn't zoom it at all.
Shoot. I wish I could just throw a link in there for you guys.
Well, I can find one. Hold on.
Who's he supposed to be? Like,
Craven the-
got a character?
Craven the Hunter.
Yeah, Craven.
Oh, okay, I know he looks like that.
Yeah.
That's what I figured he was.
But he's dressed nice because instead of having a fully exposed manly chest, he's wearing like a hide turtleneck.
I will say, Rhino is not who I thought it was. I thought it was Fisk. From the description.
No.
I was going Solomon Grundy, so I went totally different. That's like the wrong comics.
Wrong universe, yeah. We'd have a real problem if that was the case.
So I'm going to pay extra special attention to Craven, because if anybody can see through these illusions, it'll be him.
So, for the record, you do not know who any of the 3 of them are.
Correct.
So my assumption is somebody that is wearing lion hide is probably a hunter and is probably used to seeing.
That's a safe assumption.
Yeah. You see where I'm going with this.
Yep. So I will say the guy that has the wrestler-like mask on is still wearing a suit. It's not a very expensive suit, but he's wearing a normal suit with this mask on. The really large individual is wearing a very nice, very large suit, which now I understand why you thought Kingpin.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't obviously have the mask with the horns or anything. He looks like he's a bruiser who's had his face broken a couple times.
Does he sound like Paul Giamatti?
Yes, a very young Paul Giamatti.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. He sounds like Pauly Shore.
Yes.
So, real quick, I have a question. On the opening,
Yes.
do you have me as Stan Lee as a watcher?
Yes.
Well, at least you're someone on that opening. I'm an afterthought.
Well, that's
So,
because some people were asked for their character names way in advance, and some people got them to me. Other people did not, and therefore they got put in last.
Well, I'm fine being there last. It's just.
Well, Mark and I discussed. It's gonna that intro is gonna change a bit between the bigger story arcs.
Yeah.
So that will change in the future.
Yep.
Okay, so she introduces the other 4 members, and says she'd like to now pass the floor to Von Doom. You notice that he is significantly more disheveled than he was earlier this morning when you saw him. But even then, he has a smile on his face. He's oozing charisma. He steps up to the mic and begins with a speech in a foreign language. It is about 45 seconds long. You see some of the people in the audience looking at each other like, what's going on? And a lot of the actual UNWO registered bodies actually have a device on their lapels that translates languages for them. So the majority of them actually get it. But there's still quite a few people in the audience that are confused. After he seems to finish, he says, "Thank you for allowing me that small honorific." That was the first televised. It was a rereading of the first televised speech from Latveria. As many of you may know, until recently, our small country was unknown, majority of the world, much like Wakanda was, but for a very different reason. We had very few resources and more enemies than we needed. If anything, D18 has allowed us to reach out to our neighbors and help them come under the fold of safety and strength. Some of the things that you'll hear over the course of this summit will be nice things to hear. Some of it will be things you disagree with. All we ask is that you listen with an open mind to all of the speakers present and try to understand where they're coming from. I would hope that this summit is just the first of many, as the world that we enter today will be forever changed from the world before. And he'll nod to the crowd, and some people clap, and then he turns around and walks back to his seat and sits down. Shuri stands up, comes back up, and introduces Senator Kelly. And you're gonna have to remind me one more time. I said his last name was Price.
Yeah, it is
Osmond?
Osmond Price, yes.
Okay. You notice that there's 2 lecterns standing on the stage with microphones, and they each take a different one. And you can see that they have met before, practiced this before. They're doing a 2-person lecture series on the subject. And I'm going to take a bio break real quick before we get this started. Nice. Enchanting and charming. I'm going to take a bio break really quick so I can go do prayers with the kids and get some water.
Okay. So I think we should attack them all now.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just
let's do it.
Straight up murder them while they're in their second dance number.
At least Kelly.
I'm gonna create a illusionary 20-foot long snake. It's gonna start coming out of the wall and slithering amongst everyone.
Can you make an illusion that like does their speeches? So like we kill them, but the illusion is that they're still doing their speech.
Oh, you know what? I could just transform them into the stage. Like they become part stage.
That is a ridiculous power. Is that something Silver Surfer can actually do?
Yes. Only mine is far, 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 far more limited than his. The amount
I'm just gonna start handing out my calling cards.
You're using it as a networking opportunity. I like this.
You know it's awesome when it switches the Dans because there's
Recharged.
Pre-charged? Yes. Nice. How long does the charge last if it doesn't go boom?
I have no clue. As
As
long as I want it to.
you
And
charge
your
it and
full
it
phone.
explodes
And
next
your full
round.
phone.
Whatever
So-
you charge explodes next round.
Okay, so 6 seconds.
But I guess time is relative, so a round can be as long as you want it to.
Nice. That's weird. Why is it switching to Dan's when there's nobody talking?
Thunder.
Oh,
Because the echo's coming from Dan.
he must have
You know
a
what?
Twitch chat open.
You know what? I'm actually going to take advantage of this to restart my computer and hope this clears my lag.
I don't think that's how that works, but good luck.
I'm pretty sure that's not how that works, but
Yeah.
might as well
pretty
give it a
sure that's not.
shot.
And he was
If
never.
only we had an IT guy.
Yeah,
He was never seen from again.
that's right. Exactly how you said it, Nick. He was never seen from again. That is the correct way. I was not expecting Rhino.
Really? That's kind of how he's the first guy who came to mind.
No, it was totally the Kingpin for me from how he's describing him.
Well, I was thinking of Rhino just because of what the character looked like, but he is a really big guy, and I don't think anyone in this room would think that he's a normal person.
Well, the good news is, you know, it'll be interesting to see how people eyeball him while Kelly and Osmond are doing their song and dance.
I mean, not all huge people are mutants.
Yeah, but
Size of ages.
he's like 2 classes larger than the normal human.
I mean, it's kind of like, you know, your everyday, 7-foot guy who's 280 pounds, all muscle.
You mean like 400 pounds all muscle?
Yeah. Yeah, because Rhino is like 3 times the mass of a normal person. And he's... God, I'm going to have to look it up. I think he's almost 7 foot tall.
All right, so he's a lumberjack. Got it.
I'm looking right now. Fictional character behind. See, and that's weird because Rhino was at one point captured by Kraven the Hunter. So it's kind of weird that, but I mean, I get that didn't happen in this world, but still.
Okay, so now that Dan's back, time for us to go on our bio trip.
Yeah.
So just to fill you in, Dan.
Thank you, guys.
We totally didn't kill everyone while you're gone.
Mainly
Oh,
Kelly.
I didn't catch what you said.
Yeah, we totally didn't kill Kelly and Osmond while you were gone.
Nice. Okay, Osmond is a handsome, bald man, darker skin. He actually, you hadn't noticed it before, but now that he's standing up under the brighter lights, you can see that he has no hair at all. No eyebrows, eyelashes, nothing. He's dressed in a dark green suit. Dark green suit. Kelly is dressed in a dark blue suit that you would expect any senator to wear. There's a U.S. flag on his lapel. You notice also that both of them are wearing fairly high-tech headphone, earpieces, that are different than the other earpieces that the other speakers are using.
And do either of them made eye contact with?
I didn't hear that.
Have either of them made contact with the three people in the back? Like, have they noticed them?
They don't seem to be looking in that direction or noticing them at all.
Okay.
They seem to be noticing us.
That's a very good question. How do I do a secret roll?
Talk to me.
Like a GM, I should. There you go. Yeah.
So, two things of note for this. Right now, we're all flying near the ceiling. The three of us, and they're all fly. And any technology will immediately see through my illusion.
Wait. All three of you are flying?
Why are we flying?
Aeon, Puck, and Silver Surfer were all flying above the heads of everybody around.
Oh, I didn't know you could grant them flight.
They all have flight.
Aeon doesn't have flight.
Yes, I do.
Oh. Okay.
That's my roguelike ability.
Aha. So, just for the record, I'm using this little logo to denote that you're flying.
Gotcha.
Sounds good.
Okay. Works. Yeah, so the three of us are flying, but any technology they have will immediately see through the illusion.
Okay. They don't seem to have noticed you.
Like, if I used a virtual boy, would I be able to see us?
If you used your camera on your phone, you'd be able to see him.
Oh. That was not explained to us beforehand.
Yeah, well,
yeah, I know. I'm just saying this is the most inopportune place possible. Okay, great.
I tried to tell you guys to go to the back of the room, and you're like, no, we're going to stay in the front because that's where all the action's going to be. All right, well, I guess there's more action here now.
But you didn't say why. Yeah, no. Yeah,
Details.
I'm just chilling on my surfboard anyway, so it's all good.
Yeah, they don't seem to have noticed you. They pause for a short moment, and Senator Kelly will turn to Price. Kelly will turn to Price.
We move
I-
from the front.
I have a serious question here. This is
Can we
actually
retcon something real quick?
No.
so. Do they have like? Is there cameras like?
Oh, yeah.
Video cameras pointed at the stage, and can people see us floating up here?
So there are drones with cameras floating around the room, just like there would be at any Senate Council hearing, except this is the first summit of all of these countries put together. So, yeah, there are cameras floating all over the place. And no, Puck didn't explain that you're
No, I get that, but I'm saying
My assumption is the drones are all Shuri's, and she's cool with it.
She didn't say she wasn't, and that's a safe assumption.
right. But are they avoiding us, or are we being caught on camera and being displayed to the room? Is I guess my question.
Oh, no, nothing is being... Okay, very good question, because you guys are technically on the stage. I see
Correct.
what you're saying.
Correct.
It seems that the images that are being projected around of the stage
Mhm.
are tight focused on the speakers. The 3 large projection screens behind you
Mm-hmm.
that you can see on the wall
Yeah.
are projected directly as an input where they need to be.
Got it.
So they aren't showing. Yeah,
Okay.
it's not
that's,
showing an image
That's
on the
what
screen.
I was double checking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that would be really
Also why
bad.
we're flying, which is also why we're flying, so
Right.
we're up that angle.
There's
Right.
a drone right here focusing on you guys and projecting it to this screen.
That's what I was afraid
Spend a
of.
hero point.
So as far as you guys know, because Puck had not said that.
Which, to be fair, we've all worked together, with the exception of Silver Surfer. We've been a team for a while now, so they would have known that.
Yeah, you probably would have known that, with the exception of Silver Surfer. But you also explained to Shuri yesterday what your plan was for today.
Which was?
To be invisible.
Yeah.
So
And
she probably
and
knows
she can- and
exactly
she
where you
can-
are.
Yeah, she can see Puck anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
She just can't see us.
Yeah. Well, she can see Puck. Yeah, she can see Puck with her special goggle. She doesn't have her goggle on today,
That we
but
know
she
of.
probably that you know of. True. Okay, so Kelly will nod to Price and then begin his speech. And he starts by saying, "Can we have a moment of silence in the room for all of those who were wiped from existence on D18?" And then there's like a pin drop in the room. You can't hear anything in the room for a long pause. He says, "Without D18, nice. Without D18, we wouldn't have a group of this nature coming together. Factions that have been warring for centuries, countries that have never gotten along from the beginning of their creation, willing to come together and talk about peace." The tragic losses that we all have felt, both personal and public, are far-reaching and total. Shortly after D18, we saw weapons arise across the globe. Individuals who at once had to be registered through the Sokovian Accords because they stood up as vigilantes or warriors for their country and cause, now popped up from individuals both old and young. Not only spouting powers that make some of the Avengers look like playthings, but many with the inability to control these powers, and even more that can control them and choose not to, or control them to do ill against others. There are some that would lead you to believe that these mutants are innocent. It's the way they were born. Much as a mathematics prodigy can understand math beyond what most of us can even comprehend at even a young age. Math, except for a few choice examples, doesn't kill anyone. And he raises a finger, and the three images behind the stage change to very graphic portrayals of so the three of you, minus Silver Surfer, recognize it as a town in Kentucky, a very small town called Willowbridge, that about a year and a half ago, communication just stopped to that town and from that town. The military rolled in with the CDC and found every single person in that town dead, except for one young boy.
Oh.
And it turned out that he was a carrier for a very virulent sickness disease akin to the Black Plague that affected them instantly. It appeared that everyone in the town died within a couple hours, and then the strain died completely. The boy was taken into custody immediately. Senator, all of you know that, because it was a pretty big thing for mutants about a year and a half ago. I say big thing for mutants. That's the wrong connotation, but you get my point. Senator Kelly says, incidents like these, where actual innocents are killed, mutilated beyond anything that we could possibly even imagine, all because these beings are handed powers they can't control or they are willing to use in nefarious reasons. I'm not asking that we eliminate them, or that we form some form of genocide to take out them. Many of you in this room probably have family members or friends who have appeared with these powers, woken up with these powers. I'm only saying that, like the Sokovian Accords, where we wanted rules and guidelines to help control these beings with godlike abilities, that the mutant do the same for these individuals. Now, yes, dangerous ones will obviously have to be quarantined and dealt with appropriately. But, I mean, we're not talking about taking a rabid dog in to be put down. We will have to teach them. And if we can't, yes, sadly imprison them. But even that can be a blessing in some of these cases. And he hits a button again, and you see a video of someone who is obviously testing his powers. And you see him standing in the middle of a field, and he has a blindfold on, and he is shooting directly at an end zone marker for like a football in high school, and he takes the blindfold off, and a giant red beam blasts forward from him and completely decimates the end posts, the goal posts.
Scott.
And he pulls his blindfold back in, and the person holding the camera is laughing and telling him, "That's awesome, man! You're doing great." And then somebody runs out on the field and tackles the kid with the blindfold. The blindfold comes off, and the red light washes over the whole stadium, including the person with the camera. You then see a overhead shot from like a helicopter of what you can assume is that same football field, completely laid waste. He says, we have other countries around the world that are trying to institute this already outside of the Sokovia Accords. My friend, Mr. Price, is going to talk to you about one of these initiatives. And Senator Kelly takes a step back. He doesn't sit down, but he takes a step back so that it's obvious that he's showing it's Price's turn to speak.
Was that Scott Summers?
So, out of character, yes.
So is Scott not on this version of the X-Men?
He is not on this version of the X-Men.
Oh, okay. That's good information to know out of character.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. It looks like that's a pretty old video as well, from a couple of years ago. Oh, okay, so I can barely do a normal accent and normal talking, so I'm not even going to try to do a Brazilian accent, but when he speaks, he has a heavy Brazilian accent. He says, thanks to Senator Kelly, and I have it written down, let's see if I can find it. Thanks to Senator Kelly and the Department of Mutant Affairs, we have already started not necessarily registering the individuals in Brazil, but learning more about them. We have assigned them, and perfectly legal, assigned them watchdogs. We have people in our government that are keeping tabs on many of the more dangerous individuals with these powers. It has been working well so far. We've been able to stymie and stop several large crimes, and we were able to stop one terrorist group that were calling themselves the Brotherhood. It's a group of these individuals working together, trying to halt the presidential elections in Brazil. It didn't work well for them. We are here to say that together we can make this work. We can make this Mutant Registration Act a wave of the future to help these people who can't control themselves, but also to help us survive. The Brotherhood believes themselves to be the next evolution of the human species, and that they deserve to rule. I'm here to say that's just not the case. If they want to rule, they can be elected like everyone else. And there's a lot of applause from the group, and he steps back, and Senator Kelly says, we've been working with a couple of the other smaller countries around the globe, trying to group up what resources we can put together for the Mutant Registration Act addendum to the Sokovian Accords. We just ask that when it comes to the vote here with the UNWO, that you consider what it could mean to live in a safer world. That is what the UNWO is for. So please consider it. And he will... Did somebody drop?
Sounded like it.
I think we lost Ray.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And there's Ray. And he will take a step back and sit back down. That is about when you hear several of the people in the audience begin shouting. It's a grouping of people shouting that specific instances of the government killing mutants on sight, to people calling out for worldwide safety against this mutant threat. The three that you saw come in that were actually pretty outlandishly dressed and upsized are sitting quietly. The one who's obviously the leader of the three has kind of a thin smile on his face.
And
like
that would be Craven or the one with the mask?
Craven.
Okay, thank you.
Craven has a smile on his face, almost like he knew this was going to happen.
So the shouts are anti-mutant.
They're both,
Okay.
but very heavily anti-mutant. You do hear occasional ones yelling about how like somebody's sibling or family member was arrested or killed on sight, like where they weren't a threat. But the majority of it is anti-human or anti-mutant sentiment. Shuri will take the stage once again and try to calm the group, and eventually the majority of people calm down. She'll tap the microphone 3 times and there will be a soft beep that goes through everybody's translators, and it's enough to kind of silence people the rest of the way. She says Senator Kelly will be available for discussions in a lot of the small table discussions throughout the rest of the summit, and he is more than happy to take your comments and suggestions, as well as Mr. Price. Now, if you would, Mr. Von Doom and Mr. Richards. And Victor and Richards take the step up to the microphones, and Victor kind of chuckles to himself and pulls out some cards, which seem very low tech for what they're doing. He says, "What an act to follow, huh?" He says, "We're here to discuss some of the technological advances that we've been working on for worldwide safety, ironically enough." And you can see the images behind the stage change to like 3D blueprints of a larger Quinjet, essentially. He says, "We're working with Wakandan officials and the U.S. government and the UNWO technicians and researchers to create these." And he hits a button and you see the angle changes, and they look to be, now that there's a size comparison, they look to be about half the size of a helicarrier, but shaped like a Quinjet. He says, on loan from the Wakandan government and the UNWO, we're looking to establish these waypoints or transports in every major city across the globe. We don't want to step on the toes of any corporations that like getting paid for plane tickets, but a lot of people can't afford them and need to be able to travel. So these will be available for everyone. The pilots, and I understand that some of you may not feel strongly about this, but the pilots are going to be drone-based. So they'll be able to get you where you need to go. The next, and he points to Reed Richards. Give me a perception check. Everyone.
Where is... Sorry. How do I know what my perception... Oh, there it is. Nope.
I think it's the forward slash, not
Yep, I got it.
backslash. No, it's telling Nick.
Oh.
Oh, you guys are really good at this. Well, you did. That is a +10, +9. Yeah, good point. You guys note that Reed Richards, as he moves up from his chair, his movements are kind of stiff. Almost not quite robotic stiff, but not as smooth as they probably should be for someone of his age. He has a beard that looks fairly well groomed, but it definitely looks like I say fairly, I mean clean. It definitely looks like he just lets it grow and doesn't care about it. It's not like shaped or anything. But his movements are quite wooden. And as he begins to talk, you can see that his voice is very monotone, like he's reading a speech, or like he's not really focusing on what's in the room right now. He says, my brain is just not here today. He doesn't say that, although that would be funny. I can't remember what they called them. I'll have to tell you later. He says, these are, with the addition of these planes, of these jets, available to the majority of the world. We're also looking at new formats, new technologies, new air cleaning systems, water cleaning systems, and food generation systems that will allow us to combat some of the issues we have right now with resources getting to people that need them. With the help of Von Doom Industries, we've been able to make great leaps in making sure that people have what they need worldwide. We would like to make sure that these technologies are available to everyone, not held by leaders that shouldn't have the power they have. And you can see Victor grab his arm, and he's like, not right now. And Reed moves forward and says, there are countries here that should not have taken other countries, should not be taking other people's resources. And you can tell that this is his soapbox issue. But Victor is just barely able to pull Reed back from the microphone before he says, like the savage lands, and points directly at Craven. And Victor speaks something quietly to Reed, and Reed, you can tell Reed is angry. So it went from him speaking like a robot to him speaking very passionately, but you can see that his movements have become even more halting as the angrier he's getting. And Victor pulls him back to his seat, and they talk quietly at their chairs. Shuri, kind of caught off guard. It appears that conversation was supposed to be a lot longer. She flips through a bunch of slides very quickly that have a bunch of different schematics and technologies And so she gets to the end of the brief, and she says, "Thank you very much. As mentioned prior, these gentlemen will be available for discussions in the small conference room topics afterwards. Why don't we go ahead and take a break?" And she turns back to them, points to Victor, and points off stage to over here, and the three of them walk this way and discuss something quietly. What was that? You said something?
Oh, I said, let's walk that way.
No.
Well, I'm sitting on the edge of the Silver Surfer's surfboard, watching this whole thing.
As they move away, you see Price change seats to sit closer to Kelly, and they engage in their own conversation very quietly. You see that people are doing that all over. Like, they're grouping up and talking.
Not so great.
Oh, to this conversation here?
For Kelly and Osmond.
You hear words dropped that are talking about, and you can see that Price is actually he's very frustrated, and he is talking about how, wow, you really hear them, don't you, Nick?
Yep.
They're talking about how the Mutant Registration Act will do nothing if there's no way to enforce it, and right now the Mutant Defense Agency, is that what it said? MDA? Department of Mutant Affairs has nothing but their brute squad, which won't stand a chance against a lot of these abominations. That's what Price says.
Mm-hmm.
He says, hell, for all we know, half these leaders could be mutants. If you'd gotten that thing working, and he points to the earpiece that Kelly's wearing, then we'd have known by now. Ow. And Kelly looks around surreptitiously, but you guys are paying really close attention, and says, "You need to be careful with what you say. If they could hear you." And he winks at him as if he's like making a joke. And Price says, "You know what she could do, the last one we caught. I don't understand why you're not taking this more seriously." And Kelly says, "It's in the plan. We have a plan." Alright, so Puck, you notice that when the break was called, the large man in the jacket excused himself, which is nobody seemed to notice except for you, it seems, and cause even though he's as large as he is, he's had to squeeze past the other people in his row, and the other two seem to be talking quietly.
I'm gonna attempt. Well, hey guys, let's go that way.
Okay.
So here's what I picture. I picture Aeon flying like Rogue does, and then I picture Puck laying on his belly on the front of the board, paddling to get you guys over there.
Exactly. That way.
Yeah.
I assume you mean over here?
Yep.
Okay. Go ahead and give me perception checks.
And I'm going to be sitting at the edge of the board with the feet dangling on the side.
Nice.
Which is what I'm doing, but on the side, on the back. Same thing.
Well, there goes our sucky rolls.
Okay. it seems that the majority of the conversation happened as you were traversing the space, because you only get the very end of the conversation as you get close, and the one in the mask says, "Why here? Of all places, why here?" And the hunter, because like you said, he really looks like a hunter, says, "This is the first time he's been out in years. We can't say when he'll be out again. The most dangerous game hides the best. And I will have him. I will have him on my wall." And then they kind of break apart, and the masked one goes up these steps and leaves. These steps. And you can see the hunter sit back in his chair and put his feet up on the ledge.
Can I see who... I'm going to try to figure out who the hunter is watching the most in the... Like, who's the hunter paying attention to? Who's he fixated or focused on, if anybody?
He is staring pretty intently at this trio. And since he was saying he, you imagine it's either Doom or
Richard.
Reed Richards. And roll me an intelligence check.
Intelligence plus, or just straight intelligence?
That is the question, isn't it? It would be a knowledge check.
Insight?
Yeah, insight. No, insight. I like that, insight. Oh, holy crap. Okay, so over the last... Because it's not like you are truly a fairy. You are a human.
Well, I also know how to read people to understand what illusions to use and if they're seeing through my illusions.
Nice. You have heard of Victor Von Doom before, and you think you've heard the name Reed Richards before, but you can't place from... Holy crap. You can't place where you've heard the name Reed Richards before, but you think you might have heard it once, but you know you've heard of Victor Von Doom in the news, and based on the type of person he is, you don't imagine that he hides and stays in the shadows, you know? Based on what Craven was saying,
Is up to Doom.
Yeah, you don't think it's Doom. Because
Wait.
Doom is out in the open a lot,
Okay.
and he was talking about the person he's hunting hides and is not often out. Know what I mean?
Okay.
I'll make sure to take a mental note that I need to look up Reed Richards later.
Okay. Is Ray back? Kind of. I see him.
Appears to be.
Is he asleep?
While eating.
Oh, is he eating? Oh, okay, you're eating. You're good. You're good.
He's still not reacting to us, so I don't know if he can hear us or not.
He can hear you. He's just eating. You're good. When you're ready, let me know what Cadence is doing. But you're good. Now that I know you're eating, you're good. Okay, okay, after about 5 minutes, you can see that Reed has cooled down, but one of the guards walks him, the guard that was standing next to the stage, walks him out, and Victor sits back down and Shuri takes the stage again.
Does Craven, is he watching the Reed Richards?
He is. He is. And as Shuri takes the microphone again, people start going back to their seats. And
I grab Aeon's hand
aw,
and
Sweet.
then pull him with the board, and we follow Reed out. Float.
one more time.
You're breaking up pretty bad.
Weird. I grab Aeon's hand. Since Puck's on the board, I know that will remain invisible, but we follow Reed out.
Oh,
Like,
Oh,
I'll just
Okay.
go on the back of the board then. Yeah, whatever.
oh,
So-
are you on the
whole
board?
hand.
Are you on the board? Oh, I thought you were just floating next to us.
No, no, I was, but like, you know, if you grab my hand and like kind of signal, I'll just sit on the board and
Yeah, okay, perfect.
go with you or whatever, so we don't have to like skip through the air or whatever.
I like to think you're skipping through the air.
Okay, so as the three of us exit, following Reed Richards, I'm going to drop the illusion on the two of them so they become visible. Say, have fun, and then I'm going to go back into the room, flying to keep an eye on Craven.
Okay, are you invisible?
I'm still.
I
Yeah, I didn't hear the last of that. I'm still
Yeah,
I am invisible.
okay.
and okay, so you two are now outside, visible, flying on a surfboard.
So I will land quickly, and I'll drop the cosmic skin.
He
Okay.
appears to be a friend. I figured it's safe.
But I'll also like just push the surfboard into my body and then walk after Reed.
Oh my. As they exit, the Wakandan guard pretty much just sees him to the door and then walks back to her spot. And Reed is pacing back and forth in a hallway, just outside the summit room.
I
He
will.
mumbling something to himself. You said you dropped the cosmic skin. What does that mean?
He's no one silver.
Like I cannot be silver if I don't want to be.
Really?
Yeah, that's totally his thing.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah. Whenever he goes back to Shalabal, he drops the cosmic skin.
Oh,
It's not
I think
gone. It's just
I think I have seen that. I think I have seen that. It's just I see him with silver so much more.
well, I mean, he almost always is, but he doesn't
So-
want to be.
So you look like this.
Yeah, kind of. But yeah, I will. I see him pacing, and I will say, Reed Richards.
Yes.
I'm a friend of Victor Von Doom's. I would like to keep you company because I have reason to believe that you might not be 100% safe.
He laughs, but it's more like a scornful laugh. He says, "None of us are safe. None of us."
True statements have never been said.
We promised Queen Shuri that we would discreetly work security. And while we were in the chamber, we believe the gentleman in the back is planning to... well, we don't know his name. So
I thought we overheard it.
No.
Oh, okay.
I used it as part of the description so you would know who was talking.
Yeah. The gentleman in the back you alluded to seems to want to either capture or kill you.
Really capture, I think. I don't know.
He scoffs again and says, it would not surprise me. And you calling him a gentleman, that doesn't quite fit either."
No, he's a beast.
Yes, we all are.
Some were worse than others.
Would you mind terribly if we waited with you and escorted you?
No, please. Please. Victor seems to think that in a place such as this, with everyone collected, that we are safe.
No,
He doesn't know that I know what happened yesterday. Even
What happened
he
yesterday?
was not safe.
Oh, that.
What happened yesterday? Oh, right, the attack.
Oh, right, the murders.
He will put out a hand, his right hand.
I'll shake his hand. I am Norn.
Reed,
A pleasure to meet you.
and you.
And this is... I let you say whatever name you want to give him.
Oh, Aeon.
He will raise an eyebrow and say, "That's an interesting name."
Yeah.
You can see the wheels turning. He says, "You just left? You followed me out here, correct?"
Yeah.
You were not among those sitting in that room.
That you saw?
And I saw everyone.
Apparently not.
That is true. Which
Not
leads me to
everyone
believe...
here is without gifts.
It would seem that some with gifts may need to watch who they are around some of the speakers. And you guys are no longer flying, right?
Correct.
Correct.
Let's turn off flight.
Well,
Puck's still flying.
Well, right, I just meant the people out here, so I can take the symbols off.
As I said, Queen Shuri asked us to be discreet. And so discreet we've been.
I have no idea what you just said. Sorry, one more time.
I
something
said...
about Uncle Ben?
No, I said... As I said, Queen Shuri asked us to be discreet, and discreet we have been.
Yes, it would seem that you are more discreet than most around here can be. But I am welcome to see you here. I was hoping that these talks would not frighten away the type that you may or may not be. There are so many here that feel an ill will towards your kind. I'm glad to see that some of you could stomach the trip. Okay, I think that's all of them. Alright. And he continues pacing again. He says, "We practiced that presentation for 3 weeks. 3 weeks! I knew he was going to be here, too. He warned me he was going to be here." As he's walking back and forth.
So who was the beefy guy that wants to hunt you?
Craven. Craven the Hunter. No joke. That's what he calls himself.
What a D-bag.
He stops, looks at you with a quirked eyebrow, as if he's never heard that insult before, and then laughs really loud. It appears that he doesn't get out much.
I'm monitoring, I'm scanning the hallway, you know, we don't see that big guy or anything, no one's approaching him, are they?
No, nobody's actually out in this hallway.
Okay,
So,
great.
what do you do at CERN?
I thought that was funny, that's where she decided to say I work. I work with Victor, but people, they don't want us to know, they don't want many of the people here to know that we work together. It appears that some of the negative connotations about what Victor's people have done in the past might stain my great reputation.
You mean like
And
claim
he
your country?
chuckles to himself. What was that?
You mean like claim a country that he doesn't actually own?
Well, I mean,
Or claim, I guess, would be the
he does now.
true.
For better or worse, it's all Latvia now.
Those inventions that you were talking about, will those be free to everyone?
That's the plan. It's really sad. With all of the pain and ills that came from D18, the abundance of resources definitely has left openings. It was when we announced this at the Stark Expo this year, there were a lot of corporations that were not very happy with us.
But it is
What type of
ambitious
technology are you releasing? Just the Quinjet looking thing?
goal. Yeah. Well,
I named it. Son of a gun. It was the jets, yes,
Mhm.
as well as other types of transports. We're building a type of material that you can build floating cities out of. Though we're still having an issue with a lot of those molds. But a lot of our presentation was about things to make the world better.
Wasn't there like a city that almost fell to Earth a couple years ago?
that was
Sounds like a good idea.
Sokovia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have imagined there would have been resistance against the helicarrier idea as well after that whole fiasco.
So they tried to ward us against it. The what's left of Shield. It seems that every time they take anything to air that people see, it tends to get negative feedback. We're hoping that our partnership with Wakanda, since Wakanda has been doing pretty much all of the deliveries lately, they would see it as a benefit. And, I mean, we haven't gotten very much negative feedback. I'm hoping that we've finally been able to move on from that. And the fact that none of these have weapons. And we kind of have a backdoor on that too. Any installation of any weapons will be detected by the hardware, like the hard lines, and turn the whole thing off.
Would that crash at that point?
No, it'll land. Can you imagine?
Why not? I think Von Doom would definitely
in most cases. What?
Isn't Doom not necessarily a good guy?
So
Out of character.
out of character, you have no reason to believe that he's a bad guy, other than maybe that his family took over some of the other.
Other than the fact that he's a dictator and took over, a bunch of.
Is he a dictator though?
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
That's in this universe. That's not really how he presents it. And to hear him say it, the countries around Latvia were really suffering due to lack of resources or lack of infrastructure, and he helped them. So yeah, it does depend on how you see it. It does, but
he's a lesser of two evils.
Keep in mind that Professor X told you to take the information to Shuri, and Shuri chose to share it with Doom. So, by acquaintance, technically, we're supposed to be friends with Doom.
Sure.
Just FYI.
Well, I'm not going to totally attack the guy.
No, you're just calling him evil to a friend of his.
It's all.
I didn't say that. Out of character. Come on.
It's all depending on your perspective.
So you see, it was true. From a certain point of view. Thanks, Obi-Wan, you dick. Where were we? I can't remember what I was saying right before we stopped.
So we're protecting him, and then I guess stuff's still happening in the amphitheater.
Yeah. Okay. So going back to the amphitheater, Puck, you're watching Craven. Craven is sitting there, and once he realizes that he keeps looking over at the door that Reed left from, and once he does not come back, it's about 5 minutes while people are talking up on the stage, before Craven leaves out that exit. And I assume that you follow?
Absolutely.
Okay. And Cadis, who's sitting there, the conversations now have been answering questions from and Puck before you left. Had the 4 on stage, have been answering questions from the group. Did either of you have any specific questions that you feel might have been asked of these 4 people? Or does anyone else have any questions that you feel may be asked by these people?
One of the ideas, I guess one of the questions would be essentially what determines someone to be just a regular mutant versus a mutant that must be contained. Like, where does that line get drawn?
Yeah, so the questions that I'm asking you don't necessarily have to come from you. It's just that will give you guys a chance to kind of play with the plot from your guys' side. So other people, you hear somebody from over here ask that question, essentially what decides that line and what is the line. And Shuri will sit back down, Senator Kelly will stand back up, and he'll say, there's actually a series of factors. For one, part of the Mutant Registration Act would be registering the person and their powers and power level. So, for example, let's say you had the ability to grow plant life.
Okay.
And you focus mainly on growing apple trees and orange trees, produce. So that's not going to be an issue. But let's say part of the plants that you can grow are fungoids or molds, things that can do disastrous things to a lot of people and property. Your abilities may not push you in that direction, but we would have to watch you a lot more closely. Somebody with a lot more power, destructive power, is going to have to be watched a lot more closely than someone who can sprout flowers from trees. So, to better state what's happening right now, the Registration Act, Mutant Registration Act, will be part of the Sokovia Accords. So all the question was, the Registration Act purports confidentiality to confidentially register mutants, yet you're already sharing information with other countries like Brazil. What determines what information can and cannot be shared? And Senator Kelly says the Mutant Registration Act, which will soon be passed, is attached to the Sokovia Accords. Sokovia Accords are part of the UNWO body. So actually all of the countries grouped together will have access to the information through the Mutant Registration Act, but that information will stay within the UNWO approved officials only. People, researchers, and people that are set up to protect lawfully from these threats. So mostly the Department of Mutant Affairs. The information currently shared between Brazil and the United States, as we are trying to move forward, have no personal information. It is simply the statistics of specific individuals, power levels, what kind of powers we've seen, but we have no names or Privacy Act information on any of these documentation, or any of these documents. Somebody else steps up from the group, and you can see that it is a younger with bright green hair, but it's obviously dyed hair. She's one of the people that are dressed nicely with a actual security badge. She says, what about a mutant homeland? Can't we just ship them all somewhere else? And there's some laughing from around the group. And Senator Kelly says, wouldn't that be nice? A utopia, if you will, that they can have their own lives and we can have ours. The problem is, there is no place that we could just do that, and that really doesn't make anyone safe. That means that even there, these dangerous individuals will leave that door open and walk away. Even the dangerous individuals there could cause harm to the rest of these people. I think it's important that we have these rules set forth for everyone. With the disappearance of the Avengers, how do you propose to enforce the Mutant Registration Act? He smiles at that question and says, there are things in place that we will be ready to announce fairly soon. As of now, the forces of the Department of Mutant Affairs have been well equipped, technologically speaking, to be able to defend themselves and the proposed victims of violence, and some of these abilities. I will say there have been quite a few of these soldiers, these strong, brave souls, that have put their lives on the line and had their lives taken by some of these mutant threats. But even if the Avengers were still here, and I'm sure that they would agree with the Mutant Registration Act, as they did with the Sokovia Accords, that they would want to see a safe system put in place. There's somebody that yells, but they didn't, from the back, and he yells, but you don't know that. He kind of coughs slightly at the question, what stops you from experimenting on mutants? He says, let's be honest here. Nothing. Nothing stops anyone from experimenting on anyone. And that's sad. I read a report the other day, of several years past, of a scientist who used alien artifacts to experiment on children, enhancing them, making them better. There's my hope is that part of the safety moving forward is that no mutants or humans will get experimented on. That being said, we will be testing their powers, and in some cases these mutants don't understand what they can do or what their power levels are. There will be some level of experimentation there, but I promise you it'll be completely safe. What recompense or rights do people who register have? You mentioned possible imprisonment. Who gets to decide these issues, and what appeals process do they have? That is a very good and well thought question. There is the Department of Mutant Affairs, part of the Mutant Registration Act, sets aside a group of lawful individuals, judges and advocates from across the UNWO, who will both stand up for and keep to the law, the letter of the law. These mutants have the same rights as anyone else. You have to register to own a gun. Why wouldn't you have to register to have something as dangerous as a gun? I hear rumors of people who can walk through walls. There's a story of a girl who could walk through walls in Illinois. What's to stop her from walking through my house or his house, your house, a bank vault, the White House? Wow, you are going really dark, Nick.
What?
I meant questions. You're gonna start like a giant,
Kerfuffle.
hate read. Kerfuffle.
Well, I put another question there. How's that?
I'm not seeing another question, I'm seeing statements.
Yeah.
Oh, those are statements. I'm sorry. You know me. I don't follow direction well.
Somebody from the back yells, the fact that she doesn't want to go through the White House, and he says, that may be true. And if we could trust someone not wanting to do something, and that would be the only reason they don't do it, then fine. But some of these powers aren't controlled as consciously as that. And some are, and are misused. That will be taken into regard what people want to do and where their current station is. Okay, you guys are still outside with Richards. He says, do you have to stay here? Can I show you guys something?
Sure.
Sure.
I will get back to your question in 1 second, Mark.
Yeah. That's my last.
Pup, you follow Craven, and he moves out to a large open field. It looks like it may be like an emergency landing area or water overflow, but it's pretty much just mud and plains outside the city of Wakanda, or the main city in Wakanda. It takes a little bit of walking to get there, or flying, if you will.
I try to be as stealthy as possible, tailing him while being invisible.
And flying.
Let me see this real.
My
let me check
illusion
something real quick.
concealing all senses.
You said GM roll?
Flash
Yeah.
GM roll.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So if you're looking, so the illusion stuff. If he's got a reason to disbelieve, it'd be 1d20 plus insight versus a DC of
29 million.
Oh, so it's not even a stealth check.
So we can easily do this as a stealth check. That's pretty easy. It'll be
Can I say that he should technically get bonuses because he's flying silently?
So if we did this as a stealth check, it would be stealth plus your power level for that power, plus probably 5 for being for flying, plus 5 for being your size.
And another 5 for being invisible?
so a lot of that's already taken into account. So being
that is taken
invisible,
into account. Yeah, cool. No, I approve. You can't make that roll even if you roll a 20, but yeah. Okay. So you follow him out there. Reed Richards.
well,
has-
and that 20 would always succeed.
Does it though? I think that's just for combat. Thunder.
I would rule that it does. Otherwise, what's the point?
We're supposed to get thunder tomorrow, but we never get thunder here. So we'll see if it happens.
Okay. Reed Richards heads back in a different direction and down like a pathway to an elevator and takes you guys down an unfathomable number of flights.
If we are somewhere where there's not going to be other eyes, I will go ahead and put my skin back up.
So he looks over at his shoulder at you, and he's not even shocked, but you can see the gears turning in his head. Like, you can tell he must be a very smart individual. The way that he is thinking. Okay. Alright, so your question mark. Will mutants be a part of the decision-making process and part of the Mutant Defense Department, or will they be excluded as too dangerous? Kelly kind of chuckles to himself. He says, do you think I'm a monster? These mutants are still people. If they have the prerequisites or experience, absolutely they'll be welcome to join up. However, there will be some, I am sure, that will be too dangerous. And we're working on something for that as well. But, for example, the child that we showed in the video earlier that could emit these optic blasts, he's already being trained as part of the Department of Mutant Affairs. And he is one of the more dangerous mutants that we've been able to find. But we've been able to teach him control, and it's very important that he gets to that level of understanding of himself. Are there currently mutants in the executive team's decision makers of the... There might be. Not that we know of.
What a dick.
That is what he says, yes. He chuckles and goes, there might be, but not as far as we know. Okay. Huh. The problem is, all of these D20 systems are so similar that the rules bleed over. So I apologize. And I
that was a whisper to you,
different...
Dan, because I didn't want to put the copyright information and whatnot out there.
Nope, I agree. I have a different book than you. Son of a gun. Oh no, I don't. Sure enough, okay. As a correction for everybody out there, for Mutants and Masterminds, D20, a 20 on a die for any check, skills included, is a critical success, which adds an additional degree to the success. Awesome.
Daniel,
Yes.
your face is a critical success. That's
Okay, thank you. Cadis, what are you doing? Do you look around and notice that everyone has abandoned you?
Yeah, so I got lost in all the discussion pieces. So I'm gonna kind of walk my way down to the aisle where I last saw them, and kind of go look out, take a peek, go grab some coffee.
So, bro.
So you guys do have comms, I assume. I think we talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
And so once I'm clear of all the distraction,
Okay.
I'll try to get a hold of some of the folks and.
You make your way outside. You see that the hallway is completely empty. Heading up to comms, unless you guys turn them off, Aeon and Surfer, you hear Cadus's voice come over comms.
Monitor up.
Yeah.
Hey guys, where'd y'all take off to?
You guys are You guys are in an elevator going about 20 floors below ground.
We're still here somewhere.
There's potential threat on Reed Richards' life, so we are escorting him. He's taking us underground.
Yeah, you broke up, Mark.
There's a potential threat. Wow, am I getting that large of an echo? There's a potential threat on Reed Richards' life, so we're escorting him. He's taking us underground.
Yeah, sounds good. There's some quite a bit of interesting commotion and discussion happening on the floor. Nothing too heated at the moment, so.
You might want to get with Puck and keep maintaining security there. You were blending in well. Good job.
Well, I am a master of, well, something, I guess.
Comments I could say.
Loving the accent.
I don't understand what any of that meant right there.
Yeah, neither did I.
Okay, so Cadus, what are you doing?
So, I head back into the room and proceed to the other. I'm just gonna wander around, sort of back to where last saw Puck headed off to.
So, I don't mean to be a dick about it, but he was invisible, and he says his comms are off.
No,
It's done.
sure, I forgot that they stayed invisible for that. So, yep, I'm just gonna meander around and stay within the.
Why don't you stay with Dr. Doom?
What?
Why don't you help guard Dr. Doom?
Yeah, so yeah, I'm staying in the actual forum area and keeping an eye on. Only want to meander to the other side and talk to some of these guys now. Making my way a little closer.
I wish there was a way to have different pages. Alright, so we're just gonna do fluff here and then I'll have the maps for next time. As you follow Craven out to the large open field, it's essentially what you're looking at. You've seen Avengers Infinity War. The large open combat field outside the main area of Wakanda, that's just an open area of grasslands.
Mm-hmm.
He's walking down into that and stops before a man that you can only assume is the man from earlier, but he's not in a suit anymore. He's in a large, heavily armored rhinoceros suit. He has horns that jut out from the top of his head that shine with a brilliance of metal that you're not sure you can identify. Much of the armor is inlaid with small digital patterns that glow faintly as he moves in the light. The one with what would look like kind of like a wrestling mask is in a green tight-fitting armor and has a huge tail coming off of the middle of his back that is centered on his shoulders and hips, that has a huge bulbous barb on the end that looks like there's some kind of entry on the point, so maybe it is some kind of extra weapon.
You said it was a huge what?
Like a bulbous barb.
A scorpion.
Like a scorpion tail.
How does that go again?
Yeah, what is it?
So I don't like repeating myself. I don't like how I sound.
It's not about how you sound. It's the fact that you're making this motion going a huge bulbous barb, which is hilarious. Sorry, just had to point that out.
Smart, Alex. Okay, and the three of them meet out in the open area, and they just kind of nod to each other that it's time, essentially. Reed Richards takes you down the elevator. After a certain point, the walls open up, and you're on a set of tracks. But it's a huge cavern that you're descending into, and you can see metal, mined metal that has like a glowing purple energy moving through it as you're traveling to the bottom of this cavern. But you also see huge amounts of shipyards, like off into the distance, with hundreds of ships of these Quinjet helicarrier hybrids just laying out, and you can see drones building them and welding them and checking them out. You also see a whole bunch of other locations, 3D printers that are printing some of the other things that you saw in the designs that she was flipping through. This is obviously where they've been a large portion of where they've been making a lot of the technological advances. And Cadis, you see that Kelly has stepped back, and Victor steps forward again and says, we wanted to make sure that all of you felt prepared for the way the future is moving forward. So if you will just wait a moment, we have some gifts for each of you. And some of the Wakandan warriors walk in, and Wakandan warriors walk in, as well as a bunch of other people bringing in boxes, little crates about the size of a bread box. And they're handing them out to everyone who's attending this part of the conference.
What's in the box?
And that's where we're going to end it for tonight. The camera pans back from Puck, invisible, standing over the three animalist villains. Cutting to the camera panning back over the three of you, Reed Richards, Silver Surfer, and Aeon, staring over the hundreds of technological advances in the caverns. And then the camera panning in on Cadis as he's been handed one of these small black cargo boxes about the size of a bread box. And that's where we'll end it.
Can it end with me actually opening the box and a look of awe and despair on my face?
Yeah, I like that even better. Yeah. So it closes it on the box, he opens it, and then the camera pans up to his face. I like that.
As always, thanks everybody for watching. Until next time, if you'd like to support us, hit that subscribe button on the Twitch channel, or you can head over to our Patreon page, where for as little as $1 a month, you can get your name on every single show that we do. It's patreon.com/gamersedge, just like these fine folks did. For Ray, for Anthony, for Nick, Daniel, and myself, thanks for watching. Until next time, game on!
Game on!
Game on.